Take 4. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, welcome to the first ever Tips and Tricks Sundays, where we'll be talking about a different sexual reproductive health topic every Sunday. The inspiration for this, I really just wanted to make my website more than just about my Peace Corps experiences. Of course, I'm still going to talk about Peace Corps Togo, I'm still going to talk about Peace Corps Ethiopia, but now I want us to be talking about way more. I feel like this platform can do so much more than that, and Tips and Tricks will be one of many installments that allow me to expound upon the different things that I talk about in Peace Corps, specifically related to, of course, sexual and reproductive health. So the inspiration for Tips and Tricks Sundays comes from many things, but I'm just going to talk about 3 right now. First, I want to talk about Black maternal health. The state of Black mothers in the U.S. is alarming. We have statistics that are comparable to Sub-Saharan Africa, which speaks to a larger thing about Black women around the world having many gaps in healthcare and experiencing bad patient-provider relationships and just not having access to the type of care that they deserve. So I want to, being someone who wants to work overseas and someone who also wants to have a domestic component to her career, I'm hoping that in doing this research and doing these vlogs and writing and such and working overseas and domestically, I'll be able to be one of the many voices helping to close those gaps in care. As we know, Black women in the U.S. are 3 to 4 times as likely to die from a pregnancy-related condition than white women, and Black infants are 2 times as likely as white infants to die. That's alarming, and we need to do something about that. Being health literate is a way to do that. Being health literate is a way to, again, close the gap and to ameliorate those statistics. My home state, Louisiana, has the highest 2 HIV prevalence rates in the U.S. My hometown, Baton Rouge, has the #1 HIV prevalence rate in the U.S., and New Orleans follows right behind. Which we know the rising rates and the stagnant rates, they're preventable, and there's treatment available so that folks who are already HIV positive, they can manage their HIV status. So I hope to talk about these issues in a way that is not stigmatizing, and talk about these issues in a way that allows people to be comfortable talking about getting tested, comfortable talking about their status, and comfortable educating others. The more transparent we are about our sexual health, the easier it's going to be to stop these HIV and STI prevalence rates from rising. And so we can have more pleasurable sex, which brings me into the third reason that I want to bring up about why I'm doing Tips and Tricks Sundays. Sex is supposed to be about pleasure and enjoyment. It's not just about reproducing, which we know, and what sex isn't supposed to do is supposed to have you worrying after you have sex. You should not be having sex and worrying like, oh my goodness, did I just, contract an STI. You should be talking about that before you have sex. You should be comfortable enough to do that. If you want to talk about it, you need to be able to talk about getting tested too. So I'm going to be getting real raw with it so that we can all be on the same accord, because I think people are always trying to be super uptight, using super jargony phrases and all these medical terms. It just really bogs everything down. When we just get straight to the facts, everybody can know what we're talking about and everybody can be comfortable. Sex brings pleasure. Sex is supposed to be fun. Transparency and consensual sex, they're important. So that's why. So today is called a full STI panel. This will be STI Testing 101, and I'm putting that STI Testing 101 there because this is very, very foundational. I'm not going to be going super, super deep into things. So anyway, you're at whatever point in your sex life, right? You're already about to start, or, I don't know, you're taking a break and you just want to take your hiatus in peace. I don't know. But anyway, you're doing whatever and you decide that you want to go get tested. Good move on you, fam, right? But let's make sure that when you go to the doctor's office, you go there fully knowledgeable about what you're about to do, knowing what types of tests will be taken and why, and how often you need to be getting tested. You want to go into the office knowing as much as you can so you can be on equal footing with your provider. So what all is included in a full STI panel? So it'll vary between companies and clinics. However, at minimum, they're going to test you for gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, hepatitis A and B, HIV 1 and 2. And most times they will also test you for herpes simplex virus 1 and 2. I say most of the time because it's not always included, but you can definitely ask for that. You can also be tested for HPV, and I guess that kind of gets into, well, what are they testing for when they take the blood sample, and what are they testing for when they take the urine sample? So with the blood sample, of course, they're testing for HIV antibodies against 1 and 2. But they're also going to be testing for hepatitis B and C. That's where they'll test for herpes simplex virus 1 and 2. They'll test for syphilis, and they also can test for HPV. But honestly, if you want a pretty accurate assessment of whether you have HPV antibodies, you'll want a cavity check. So whether that be through the vaginal canal or the anus, you'll get a much more accurate result through a swab, a cavity swab. Yeah, I don't know. Then with the urine sample, they normally test for chlamydia and gonorrhea. But if you're not really down to give a urine sample, you can ask for them to use your blood sample to do a chlamydia and gonorrhea test. That is possible. So keep that in mind. I guess I use a different video to go deep into what is herpes simplex virus 1 and 2, and to go deeper into Hep B and C. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. Again, this is a one-on-one, right? Okay. Depends on you and your comfortability and your SES, your socioeconomic status. Honestly, that matters too. Like, do you have the wherewithal to be getting tested every month? Personally, myself, I'll go whenever I feel like it, just to ease my mind if I'm feeling some type of way, you know. But everybody doesn't have that ability. And the CDC recommends that you get tested for gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis at least annually if you are sexually active. But, you know, if you're feeling like you want to be, you know, more on top of your sexual health, you should be getting tested every 3 to 6 months. That's especially, you know, if you acquire new partners after you've been tested every 3 to 6 months. I don't know, in the Peace Corps, they recommend that you get tested every 3 months. No matter what, no matter how often you have sex, no matter how many new partners you acquire or don't acquire. So that's my golden rule. Every 3 months, if you can. If your insurance will cover it, yes. If not, you should go to Planned Parenthood because they will test you. And if you don't have any insurance, I'm always going to Planned Parenthood because if you don't have insurance, they got your back. They make sure that you can be on top of your health and not break an arm and a leg for it. So now that you know what the STI panel consists of, and you know the recommendations for how often you should be getting tested, I hope that provides a little background and kind of gets your wheels and gears turning so that you're going to do more research on your own. Again, I'm really doing tips and tricks Sundays so that we take control of our sexual and reproductive health. When you're sexual and reproductive health literate, it really changes the game. You walk into the office at the clinic confident. You have your list of things that you want to tackle in the doctor's office. Because again, if you're going in there for, say, a 30-minute doctor's appointment, whether it be Medicaid paying for the appointment, you're paying out of pocket, or you have insurance and you got a copay, they still are getting paid for them 30 minutes to provide for you. So you go in there with your agenda and you make sure that they earn that money, sis. You get what I'm saying? So I hope this is giving you just a little bit to jumpstart, you know, that process of becoming, you know, full of power and confident in those spaces. Next week, we're going to be going and doing a deep dive on how to talk to your providers about your sexual health and your reproductive health desires. I'm going to do a couple scenarios because at the end of the day, there's a time where the doctor is most open to hearing what you want, in hearing about your sexual history, and during that time, they're also the most equipped to assess your risky behaviors and to set you up on a plan that will make sure that you and them are on the same page when it comes to making sure your reproductive and sexual health is on point. All right.
Monday.